right, well, we made it halfway through the first episode of Rerided, a show that...
Rerided.
In spite of having... Rewrite it, yeah, that's what they need to do. This was, like, unfathomably boring. Like, I couldn't believe that, like, it's so uninteresting.
Yeah,
like who
future.
passed on a script like this?
Some guys who are, like, scientists. I don't know what they're doing. Don't care, because it sucks.
It's like the show has original character designs by Yoshitoshi Abe, and if you look at like the poster art and stuff, you can see those character designs. Watching the show, you would never figure that out.
There was like in the hallway like a picture of a girl. It looked like it was from him.
Yeah, that looked like he actually drew it. But like the characters in the show, I mean, just look at this. Like this is what the characters look like.
This is the best they could bring us.
The character designs look fucking terrible. But like, the weird part is that the house that this scene takes place in, that most of the episode takes place in, is a really interestingly designed house. Like, they clearly were borrowing from some kind of like some kind of unique architectural thing. Yeah. And the main character is like a descendant of Jacques Derrida or something. So I feel as though this is a show that probably in the like design and planning phase, they had lots of interesting ideas. They were like, oh, we're gonna get like Abe to do fucking designs, and we're gonna like have all these interesting references and like cultural stuff in this show. But then when they actually made the show, it's a new studio called Geek Toys. I just think that no one who worked on it was competent enough to make it good. It's like, the character designs are fucking terrible, the animation's fucking terrible, the backgrounds, while they have...
animation?
Yeah. While there's interesting, like, design in the backgrounds, they look bad, you know, like, they're not well drawn. The music is cheesy and god-awful, and most importantly, the script is just so flaccid. It's like, there's no hook. There's nothing there. You just kind of see, like, a futuristic city. It looks like it looks kind of like the city from Index, but they don't say anything about it. There's no, like, narration that might make you start to get interested. You learn that there's like, robots, and I guess they have a potential flaw in them, but, like, it's not enough to say, like, oh, I'm invested in this story now. The characters, like, there's, like, a scene with all the characters like hanging out, but you don't care about them, and the scene doesn't tell you anything about them. You're just watching characters hang out who you don't know. Mm-hmm. So
that's painful.
It feels like it was written by somebody who doesn't know how to write. Like you could teach a class on how not to write using this show, you know? So yeah, needless to say, failed. Next one. Mahou Shoujo Ore. We watched like 8 minutes, and it wasn't funny. I didn't laugh. There were jokes that made me go, oh, that was a joke. How did you feel?
It was really weird. The attitude of it was like hyperactive, but also retarded.
It kind of reminds me of an abridged series.
But not funny.
Well, because like a huge amount of the comedy of an abridged series is that you're making fun of the source material, which takes itself seriously. In this case, they're, like, making fun of, like, their own budgetary limitations and stuff, but the joke is, haha, anime's cheap. And it's like, well, yeah.
Yep.
I know. It's not funny when you say it. Well, that's it for that. Akkun to Kanojo. I have never been so tempted to stop halfway through a 3-minute episode of anime before.
How can something so short be so appalling?
It was one of the least funny comedies I've ever seen. I felt as though I had watched the entire show within the first 2 lines of dialogue.
Yeah.
The girl walks up to the boy and she's like, Akkun, nice weather today. And he's like, you're an ugly piece of shit. And then she walks away and the friend's like, isn't that your girlfriend? And he's like, yeah, I'm obsessed with her. And then that is the joke over and over and over again. And it was old immediately.
They kept doing that same bit throughout the 3-minute episode too.
There's like 4 of the same joke.
Yeah, it's just like, get away from me, you're ugly. And it's like, okay,
it's just
not funny.
It's not handled with like the animation. I don't mean animation in like quality terms, but like it is the expressiveness of the animation is unfunny.
Yeah.
Like, they gave the characters expressions, but they're not funny expressions. The only thing that almost made me laugh was Ikachu, which was like a mouse with a squid for a tail. But it could have been done a lot better. Like, that joke could have been done in a way that wouldn't have made me groan instead of laugh.
Well.
That's it for that one.
That was like the worst
Hard
short I've
drop.
ever seen.
Oh boy, Dances with Dragons. I was done in about a minute. It opens with like this gigantic like sci-fi techno babble, like, oh, we've like opened a wormhole and the Planck constant has been subverted so endless energy is possible, and like it's just like a bunch of like vaguely scientific terms that are just used to basically mean whatever we want to happen makes sense in this world. And ergo, it's two pretty boys fighting dragons in like a generic post-apocalypse. They're both like over-designed, obvious. Like it's a show about two pretty boys fighting dragons. Like the demographic is so obvious, so fast, it's unbelievable. They look terrible. We watched skipped in and saw like one of the guys transform into like a
it was so bad
armor suit, and we both burst out laughing when we saw it. They're fighting with these like ludicrously gigantic swords that look terrible. I'm guessing this is based on a game or something, maybe a manga, but I'm looking it up right now because it's a light novel series? Oh, God. For whom, then? Well, yeah, it was really fucking bad, so instant drop. Crossing Time. The first episode was not particularly funny. It was about two girls standing at a railroad crossing. One keeps ranting about enjoying their youth and how they're going to scream the name of the person they like when the train passes, and then they do, and shocking twist, the other girl likes her. And it's like, oh, maybe this is gonna be like a lesbian romance show or something. No, that was just like the first episode, and I guess each episode is a different
vignette of like
couple at a cross.
Or people, who fucking knows?
Yeah, so
it's not that interesting.
No. Like, if this had been about the relationship of those two girls, I was curious enough to see how that might continue, but knowing that it's just about random people at a railroad crossing, it's like, oh, well, if that was putting your best foot forward, this show is totally not worth watching at all. Next. Iya no kao sare nagara o PANTSU misete moraetai. No. Okay, the only way I can truly have you all understand the problem with Dakaichi, I'm being harassed by the sexiest man of the year, is this weird under the chin shading, and it's on every shot, and it looks fucking terrible. From this distance, it looks like he just has a beard, but that is not the case. It's under the chin shading, and it's on every single shot.
It's a lot because everything else is shaded normally. It's just that one spot.
It's just the under the chin spot.
It's like stylized, but it looks really bad.
We're only a few minutes into this, but like this clearly falls into what I would describe as the tolerable yaoi genre, which is similar to the tolerable rom-com genre, where it's like those romantic comedies that they're fine. Whatever, if you happen to like these characters, you might have a good time. There's nothing, like, particularly wrong with it other than the shading under the chin. It's just that the cliches are different when it's yaoi. It's like, the main characters are all actors, and they're, like, competing for the most huggable man award. It reminds me a lot of Love Stage, but with way less heart or intrigue, and, like, immediately I was just like, if I was gonna finish a show like this, I'd just go back and finish Love Stage over this. Especially when it's got that... The shading threw me so far off, I couldn't take it. Like, some of the shots are just like, I can't stop looking at it. It's like all I can zero in on.
They really emphasize on like the guy's jawline and like, they want to have the pretty boy's face in the camera.
This shot in particular that I showed looks so bad. It's comical. It looks like his head's not even on his body. Oh god, what were they fucking thinking? Literally, what were they fucking thinking?
Can't get into it.
Well, we made it through most of the first episode of As Miss Beelzebub Likes, and it was, I would say, frustrating. How did you feel?
It was not keeping my interest. I like the aesthetic of the show. I've seen the manga, like, at Barnes & Noble's every time, and I'm like, oh, this is cute, and then I, like, open it, and it's like, oh, this doesn't have anything of value, does it?
No. The anime series... It opens with this really adorable scene. This show has, like, a real understanding of cute. Yeah. Like, it is flawless at performing cute. The color aesthetic is great. The character designs are great. The way that the girl, Beelzebub, is drawn, she always looks great. And how she
moves around, too.
Yeah, she's super adorable. Her movements are great. The little fluffy things that she plays with are adorable.
I wish this show was, like... good, because those would be great mascots.
If this show was even slightly more watchable, I would be, like, fine with watching all of it. The problem is that the dialogue is so fucking groan-worthy. Because, like, all of it is that Miss Beelzebub... So it takes place in Hell, but it's a version of Hell that's super adorable because it's run by Beelzebub, who's this girl who's just lazy and she just wants to play with cute things. That's all there is to her character, at least in this first couple of episodes. So we skipped episode 2 to see if anything was different. It wasn't. So, like, her whole personality
the episode wouldn't load.
She's lazy. She just wants to lay around and play with fluffy things. And be naked.
Which is the best.
And that's fine. I like her character. I'm okay with it, even if it's one note.
About her.
But the main character really is her assistant, who's just hapless guy, just wet blanket, boring dude, whose entire existence is to overreact to Beelzebub. Mm-hmm. To say, oh, she doesn't live up to my mental image of her. And he says it like 18 times. Like, every single scene is, oh, she's being lazy again. She sure doesn't live up to my mental image of her. Whoa, Beelzebub, Kaka, as he calls her, you're not wearing any clothes. You should put on clothes. Whoa, you're so wacky. It's insufferable.
Yeah.
And, like, if you took him out of the show, nothing else about it would bother me. Like, no matter how one-note her personality is, she's fucking adorable. It's pleasurable to watch. It's got, like, a Swedish Hig aesthetic, you know?
Indeed.
It's mega comfy. But then he comes in,
he also looks really bad.
Yeah, he's just... Every time he's on screen, it's like the show goes from, to, and he's on screen most of the time.
Yeah.
So, it's just like, man... The potential here was so high. Like, I just want this aesthetic transposed. I want everything about this show transposed onto a show with a different main character. You know, just cut that guy out entirely. And if Tonari no Kyuketsuki, the neighbor, the vampire neighbor girl show had this strong of an aesthetic, would have watched the whole show.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't even think the writing in that show was all that great, but, like, it was fine, and if it had an aesthetic this strong, I could have watched the whole thing. And even that show had decent visuals. This show has strong visuals. I would go so far as to call them strong. Stronger than most of what we've seen from 2018.
Definitely.
But the writing...
Especially in this round.
...is insufferable. And, like, ultimately, if I want this... idea, I'd rather go watch Astaroth's Toy, which also had a very nice aesthetic and was like a show set in hell, basically, but with just way more likable characters and like an actual interesting kind of plot, you know? So, yeah, not feeling it. Anything you want to add to that?
A waste of a good character design.
Yeah. She's legitimately hot. The scenes where you see her, like, laying naked with all the fluff balls on her is great, you know?
She could have been fun if the show was
I'd rather
more
look at an
about
art
it
book
being
of this.
fun.
I'd rather take screen caps from this show and just have those screen caps to look at, you know, than to actually watch it. All right, next show.
Just because everybody wants their own anime now.
Akanesasu Shoujo.
What the fuck was that?
We couldn't finish the first
Those
episode.
wacky Japanese.
This is the girl in Twilight, I guess. The best way I can talk about this is to get a little anecdotal. Throughout anime history, there have been periods where there's, like, more original anime coming out. Where original shows are more viable. And everybody wants to have originals, because for the anime...
They want to own the IP.
Right, they want to own it so that they can do whatever they want with it. It's better than having to be under the thumb of a company who owns your shit. Because then if you make Attack on Titan and it's the most successful show in the world, it doesn't really benefit the people who made Attack on Titan as much as it does their corporate overlords. So all these new studios have been getting made lately, and a lot of them are, like, coming out swinging with original IPs, trying to make a name for themselves, hoping that, like, in this streaming world where they have every opportunity to get their shit out there, somebody's gonna be interested. And they're almost all terrible. And, like, throughout history, there's always been bad original anime coming out. Like, if you were to go back to, like, the great OVA era and all that, like, yes, there's a bunch of amazing OVAs from that era, but there's way more terrible ones. If you go to post-Ava, late 90s, early 2000s, tons of cool original stuff, tons of terrible shit. The difference is that there used to be also some of it was great. And right now, it's like, almost none of these new original shows are any good. And this one is baffling. Like, what? Can you even describe what we just watched? Like, what the hell was it?
There was an autistic girl who is trying to convince her friends to go out and perform this ritual with
a Jay-Z ritual.
The
444
ritual. At 444, they have to roll some dice and then use that to pick a radio frequency and then summon.
They have to play the story of OJ outside of a tree to summon the Lord of Chikuwa, I guess.
And the girl is eating the Chikuwa, like, whole.
They end up going to, like, a alternate dimension kind of thing.
First they fail, and somehow these girls still are following this one girl, even though she's, like, definitely a lunatic.
The thing is that the five girls have no chemistry together.
No, one is, like, a nerdy, like, straight-A student, one's, like, a foreign girl, one's fucking retarded, and there's two other girls that I don't know why.
It's five girls in some provincial town.
And they have a really fat, disgusting teacher.
Who seem like they would have no reason to hang out together. Like, they don't particularly like
they don't
or
even
know
like
each other. And they're all annoying as shit. Like, the main girl is like, I won't even call her lol so random. Like, she is that, but she just comes off as, like, even in context, just really grating and annoying. Like, nobody can stand her. And then the other girls are alternately just either, like, pissed off or don't give a shit. And they're all annoying. And they have terrible voice acting all across the board. I don't think I have heard of any of these. Well, Marina Inoue is... Some of them are major voice actresses. They all sound terrible. Everything about this show was, like, really obnoxious. Character designs are mediocre. Aesthetic is mediocre, but just reading the subtitles was, like, giving me a headache.
Yeah.
And then they go to this, like, alternate dimension, and there's, like, these yellow snow bunnies that are attacking them, and it's kind of played for laughs. It seems like a relatively lighthearted scene, but then suddenly some, like, badass chick shows up and she's, like, transforms into, like, a mech suit and, like, fights all these robots and it's playing, like, epic music and shit, and it's just like, what the fuck is happening?
The girl is one of the... She's, like, the main character. It's just, like, an alternate version of her from this weird dimension, I think. But, it just is like, what is going on?
It was fucking headache-inducing. I don't know if this show goes in some kind of... Like, there's a bunch of, reviews on Mal that gave it pretty positive scores. I don't know if it's one of those where if you held out, then maybe you'd enjoy it. But, like, I was just so repulsed by everything. It was like, I couldn't even... Like, there's no way I'd have the patience to wait to see this go anywhere, because it's, like, insufferable.
Yeah.
So, yeah, whatever this new studio, Dandelion Animation Studio and Jumanji...
They make Pengu in the city.
They worked on Pingu, at least. I don't know if they made it.
Yeah, maybe
Let's go. Did they make Pingu in the city? No, it looks like they did. Well... I haven't seen Pingu in the City, but I assume it's better than this.
Yeah.
Because this is terrible.
Yeah.
That's it. What is this? Real Bout High School? What is this? What's that one called that Econ really likes? The Magikoi? What is this? The Tenjo Tenge? What is this? Absolute Zero?
What is this? The Holocaust?
This is, Juliet something. I don't give a shit. I hate
Boarding
it.
school.
I'm not watching this. I don't care at all. Oh boy. Juushinki Pandora. I like how the air always comes on right as I hit record. Juushinki Pandora,
for you.
also known as Last Hope, a Netflix original from Shoji Kawamori and Studio Satellite. We watched the first episode.
The last hope of 2018 being a good year for anime.
This is a show that I know there must be a crowd who could watch all of and eke some enjoyment out of it. I feel like my brother Victor would, at the very least, watch this whole thing. I don't know if he'd like it. I don't know if it's likable. It's hard to tell from the first episode.
You sit through it just to get to the bump of chicken at the end.
I can't stand Bump of Chicken.
I kinda like that song. It was good.
They all their songs sound exactly the fucking
that's
same.
The point.
Listen to one and you've heard them all.
No, you want the recurring, like, just, it's peaceful. It's like, it's familiar.
Yeah,
it's
can
like,
you tell the difference between Bump of Chicken and Asian Kung Fu Generation?
Yeah, I could tell the difference. Mainly the guy's voice.
So,
I knew it right away that was Bump of Chicken, like, even before they started singing.
That's impressive. To me, all of those songs, I just think, oh, it's that song.
Yeah.
Like, it's that, whatever that sound is. Anyway, Juushinki Pandora, okay, if you have no familiarity with Shoji Kawamori, the guy who created Macross, he's made a lot of great stuff, but in the last, 20 years, everything he's done has been fucking insane. Like, everything he does is, it'll always be, they're always mech shows, but with really out there, worlds that he's created, because he's really into, spirituality and, Eastern philosophy, and, he incorporates a lot of this stuff, mixed with science into, just weird sci-fi shows, where it's, they're by no means hard sci-fi. He doesn't care about trying to make something believable in any way. It's just here's my crazy idea for a world and characters. And then, the aesthetic is chaos. Just fucking bright beaming lights on everything, CGI everywhere.
Crazy CG
crazy
monsters.
Hair, crazy fucking color aesthetics. If you've seen any of the Aquarion shows, those are all perfect examples. This is very Aquarion-esque, but less it's a more adult, which is why I think Victor might enjoy it, because because Aquarion's a little more like teen angsty feeling. I mean, I don't know where this is going to go, because it barely introduces the characters in this first episode. But I did like that it had seemingly older characters with more like military slants.
One guy got disintegrated, and
that was awesome.
Fucking cool.
The coolest, the most awesome moment in that episode. Yeah, the monsters are cool in this, but like they're not memorable because they're just like crazy over-designed madness. And like the conceit of this show is that like technology and wildlife have like inexorably fused. So everything is biopunk, I guess, or cyber biopunk. I don't even fucking know. It just looks like fuck, and I don't mean that in a bad way.
You have to stop 5G.
It just this is like this show looks like it takes place in like a not so much the color aesthetic of it, but like if you literally try to draw the world that we describe in Stealing Your Dad's as if it was easy, like it would look like this world. And like the mechs are fucking weird designs. They've got wheels and like all kinds of extra shit, and then like they transform. It's everything Shoji Kawamori is known for except for idol singing appears in this show, and it's totally out there and barely comprehensible. There's techno jargon almost constantly. It does not take time to really introduce you to the characters before you're just watching them in action scenes.
There was one really ugly chick. Like, you just, like, it shows you her tits, and then it slowly pans up to her face.
And her face was like, oh no.
Whoa!
But, like,
I was not expecting that.
I guess I would describe it as uninviting. And, like, I don't mean this as an insult, but I feel like there's a specific brand of autism that, like, is for this kind of show.
I think the show knew that there were people who were gonna watch it.
It's for the if you're the type of person who starts up a show and you don't need it to endear you to anything, you are just interested in, like, immediately in concept. Because, like,
want the fucking mechs.
I used to really struggle to watch, like, sci-fi shows that like, hit you over the head with a lot of jargon and shit before like I get into shows because I like the characters, you know, like first and foremost, if I like have an in, if I connect with something, if I think it's funny or interesting, if I like want to see where the story's gonna go or what's gonna happen to these people, then I care. Or if like I can deal with jargon and sci-fi elements if it says something about the world we live in. If it's like something like Psycho-Pass can have like gobs and gobs of technobabble, but it all has immediate consequences for the world that I know. This show is not like that. It's not like something that would ever happen to us in our world. The consequences are totally alien. So it's just like you have to hit the ground running and just be interested in this setting and then take in everything. And I know there are people who do that. I know there's people who are like more interested in that than they would be in a normal show. So if you're that type of viewer, if what I'm saying resonates with you, because I know this isn't like a type of viewer who has been identified by anyone other than me just now, but like if that sounds like you, give this a shot, because it's definitely going to go under the radar and probably be underappreciated for, because I mean it's definitely interesting. It looks pretty cool, aside from the fact that like the aesthetic is a clusterfuck, but it's a well made clusterfuck, I guess. I don't know. I guess it's like a show I wish I liked, because it's 26 episodes and it's an original anime and it seems potentially interesting, but I just can't hold on to enough threads of what the hell's going on to really enjoy it. You have anything to add? Would you ever consider watching more of this? You were pretty, like, zoned, like...
I definitely was zoned. I wasn't offended. I probably, like, would have just watched a second episode, but, I don't really ever see myself watching the whole thing. Like
knowing it's 26 episodes.
I typically like you know, I'm more positive towards sci-fi and I'm excited to see like crazy shit, but I don't know, just like made my brain feel kind of hollow.
Yeah, there's a certain level on which
I want to see more guys get
where like you see like
though.
8 characters just doing things, and you're like, well, yeah. I don't know what they're doing or who they are, and nothing they're saying is helping me to understand better. Anyway.
Fighting the aliens. That's all you gotta know.
Do you want to do any more in this episode? Do you want to do even more lightning round?
No.
All right, this might be the end of the lightning round. I went out of my way to find like everything that looked especially bad, or that like I knew we wouldn't make it far into.
We've cleared up our finish or fail list. We can watch like a show and a movie every night.
Yeah, we've cleared a lot of space off of our list.
We could fucking do it fast.
There's still a number of shows that I don't think will make it far in, but that are like less ass. Like, you know, like I mean, this one was fine, but like. There's a bunch of shows that are like, I could see us watching 2 or 3 episodes and then being like, well, I don't care. Like the Production IG running show. It's like, we'll probably make it through at least an episode of that, but do I care about running? Not really. The one with the like high Q character designs, do you know what I'm talking about?
I know which one you're talking about.
Stuff like that. There's a bunch of those, but then there's like the actual shows that we'll finish. I like to try to watch all the bullshit first so that the list looks smaller, you know? So, anyway.
You have it sorted out by, like, movies and TV shows and things that we've already given a chance to, so...
Right.
I'm excited to get some of those shows finished.
Hell yeah.
I'm glad that we
failed.
Glad we did some cleanup and kind of took off some of the more intimidating and, you know, just shows that we were not... I had no intention of watching, I guess.
That's it for the lightning round. See you in the next one.
But it was also awful.